It's from a line of Albert Einstein. He said, you can't solve a problem with the same mind that created it. In order to work at solving these things called problems in your life, you have to change your mind. It is your mind where they live. It is your mind that created them. There is where you experience them. They're all illusions. You must change your mind. Literally rewrite your agreement with reality. One of the things I had said earlier is that one of the most difficult things to do in the world is to admit that you were wrong. Admitting that you were wrong is nothing more than saying, I have been making choices with my mind that have created things in my life that are not working. And I no longer intend to continue making those choices. I was wrong. You don't have to make a declaration of it. You don't have to go out and feel guilty about it. You just simply say, it didn't work. The relationship that I was in before, I behaved in these ways. I didn't realize that it wasn't working for me. Now I do, and this is where I choose to be now. The secret of a successful relationship is, to me, understanding that you put your attention and your energy in a person on what you love rather than what you don't love. Robert Frost said it so beautifully. We love the things we love for what they are. For what they are. Not for what they ought to be, not for what they used to be, but for what they are. So when you look into the eyes of a person you're in a relationship with, whether it's your children, you catch them doing things right as much as you possibly can. That's oftentimes takes a lot of hunting, but you'll find it. And when you think that my relationship isn't working, remember, it's in my mind. What am I thinking about that person? And if I could just change my mind and put my thoughts on what I love about this person and keep them there, that makes the relationship flourish. And there are people who go through their entire relationship history with no anger, no hatred, no bitterness, and only love. The next principle is, I call it, treating yourself as if you already were what you would like to become. In other words, you get out in front of your life and you see yourself as having already what you know you'd like to have and deserve to have. My children know how to do this perfectly. I have a daughter who wanted a prom dress, and the prom dress was way outside the budget that I thought a prom dress should be. Well, I thought a prom dress shouldn't cost over $20, so I do have a problem, right? But I upped it to somewhere around $250. I don't know how much, whatever. To me, it was still more than I paid for my first house, okay? But at any rate, she called and said, Dad, this is the only prom dress I could wear. I've got to wear this prom dress. If I don't wear this prom dress, it's just on and on and on with this wonderful. You know, I saw a wonderful book about how to raise teenage daughters. The title of it is Get Out of My Life, but first drive me and Cheryl to the mall, all right? That's the actual title. It's a good book. And so I told Serena, I said, it's just beyond the budget. I've got a certain amount of money that I'm willing to put for it. And she said, but I've already seen myself wearing it. I've already tried it on. I have a picture of myself in the dress in my living room, and I've already showed it to the guy who's taking me to the prom. I mean, it was this whole thing about, and she already saw herself in it. I said, well, if you see yourself in it, then you're going to have to also see yourself as earning the difference between what I'm willing to pay. And she drew up a contract. She went onto the computer, and on the background of the computer, you know, where they have these little background things they put on, there was 500 pictures of the dress, all right? And she signed a contract and said, I'll babysit, I'll do this, I'll do that, and I will pay the difference. And she did, and she wore the dress, because she understood that you treat yourself as if you already are what you'd like to become. There's a genius in you. You have to treat yourself as if you already were that genius. There's something you're completely capable of. See yourself as already there. Then you'll act upon those thoughts, because the ancestor to every action, said Emerson, is a thought. The next principle is called treasuring your divinity. Treasuring your divinity. There's a wonderful observation that I saw from Emerson in Self-Reliance. It's about trusting your divinity. knowing that you are connected to your source, knowing that you are a divine creation and that there are no accidents. He said a man should learn to detect and watch that gleam of light which flashes across his mind from within, more than the luster of the firmament of bards and sages. Yet he dismisses without notice his own thought, because it's his own. In every work of genius, we recognize our own rejected thoughts. They come back to us with a certain alienated majesty. We often reject our thoughts, and we see the things that we think of as grand and as genius, and we reject them because they're our own, treasuring our divinity instead of being terrified of it, knowing that I am always connected to my source. There is no way that I cannot, because it is in you, and I am in you, and you are in me, and you can never be separated from it. There is no place that this source is not. It grows everybody's fingernails. It beats everybody's hearts. It digests everybody's foods. It opens all the flowers, and you're always connected to it.
A paradigm is a mental program that has almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior. Now think about that. And here's what you want to remember. Almost all of our behavior is habitual. Now let's take a look at what a paradigm is and how it controls us. This is really important. Your paradigm. Let's look at the areas of your life your paradigm has enormous influence over. Your paradigm controls your perception. Paradigm programming. I'll frequently go up to a person in a seminar and I'll say, if I ask the audience what color you were, what would they tell me? They'd say I'm black. Okay? And you'd say, I'm white. But the truth is you're not black and I'm not white. Now everybody looks at me, where's he going? The person's skin may be dark, but it's not black. My skin may be light, but it's not white. If you ever saw a white person, you'd probably scream and run. See, the problem is we don't see with our eyes, we see through our eyes, we see with cells of recognition in our brain. Our perception is messed up. We see something that isn't even there. Our paradigm controls our use of time. Everybody gets exactly the same amount of time. They get all there is. You see, it's what we do with our time that makes the difference. One individual will accomplish more in a week than another person will in a year. Some people can earn more in a day than other people will in a year. How are you utilizing your time? Do you know the paradigm controls our creativity? We'll find people say, well, I'm really not creative. Why do we have great big companies and little wee creative departments? Because we're raised to believe some people are creative and some are not. Everybody is creative. We have these creative faculties. What we want to do is learn how to develop them. Think. How about being effective? Our perception controls, or our paradigm controls our effectiveness. You see, the paradigm is a program in our subconscious mind that controls the vibration we're in, therefore it controls what we do, and it controls what we attract into our life. Our paradigm controls our productivity. It literally controls our productivity. As I shift my paradigm, my productivity goes right through the roof. Our paradigm controls our logic. And you know something? Logic is that ceiling we keep banging against. When those two young bicycle mechanics back around 1903 from Dayton, Ohio said we're going to get a plane in the air, everybody thought they were out of their mind, but they got it in the air. Now somebody said, but they only kept it up there for 14 seconds. It was a matter of perception. They said, we not only got it in the air, we kept it in the air for 14 seconds. And look at today. You know, last week I flew to Dubai on Emirates, and I had a little room to myself. I had a shower. I had a shower going over, and I had a shower coming back. The floor is heated when you get out of the shower. This is at 35,000, 40,000 feet, going a few hundred miles an hour. Long ways from where the paradigm was changed by the Wright brothers. The whole world believed we couldn't fly. They went through logic. Logic has changed. The world believed that you couldn't get to the top of Mount Everest. I had the good fortune of working with Edmund Hillary on 2 or 3 occasions. The only difference in him and anybody else is his size. He was a big man. He's gone now, God bless him, but he changed a lot of paradigms. Your paradigm also controls your ability to earn money. That's right. When you change your paradigm like that, your income starts to change. You see, you should spend everything you've got and all the time you've got to really get in and understand this concept of paradigms, because it'll change your life. Now look at, you're boxed in the way you are. There's actually a box around all these areas. You try and you try and you try to get more out of the day, you try and earn more money, but we're boxed in. We're boxed in. And I don't care how hard you try, you hit those walls. You know all you need to do? All you need to do is make a decision. It's so simple and so misunderstood. Now, of course, you're going to be laughed at by almost everyone. When you tell them that you're involved in this program or you're going to do that, they'll laugh at you. You know, I like what James Cookie said. He said, do just once what others say you can't do, and you'll never pay attention to their limitations again. Just do once what others say you can't do. I really don't pay any attention to what anybody tells me when they tell me I can't do something. I know I can. I want you to let that represent you. Now the X represents, that's the algebraic equation for the unknown. Everybody has a paradigm. Everybody. I've got one. And when you change it, then you've got to change it again. You're forever upgrading it. You see, your spiritual DNA is perfect. You were created in God's image. You've got phenomenal potential locked up within you, deep reservoirs of talent and ability that you can bring to the surface. We're going to say the paradigm represents X. The paradigm controls the vibration that this thing is in. The body is a molecular structure. It's a mass of molecules and a very high speed of vibration. Your body vibrates so fast it appears to be still. If you had a Curlian photography or a Curlian camera, you could actually photograph the energy leaving the body. Your body's in a very high speed of vibration, and the vibration dictates what you attract into your life. What kind of thoughts do we think? There's a power flowing into our consciousness. We can think anything we want. We think thoughts that are in harmony with the paradigm. Now, I want you to listen really carefully. The paradigm controls the vibration. On a conscious level, we say the vibration is feeling. Somebody says, how do you feel? You say, I don't know, I don't feel that good today. Now, what they could say is, I'm consciously aware that I'm in a bit of a negative vibration. Or if they say, I feel phenomenal, they could say, I'm consciously aware of being in a very positive vibration. We choose thoughts that are in harmony with the paradigm because it doesn't upset the apple cart. It keeps us in the same vibration. Now, people are in a vibration that's giving them results they don't want, but they're comfortable in it. That's what you call the comfort zone. They're thinking thoughts that are in harmony with what they're doing. They may not like the results, but they feel comfortable. Now, this is a process. We're going to go ahead. So watch this for a moment. Now, that was called bondage. This one's called reason. We're going to say a why idea comes into the conscious mind. My brother-in-law, when he was in his early 50s, he had built 3 safety supply companies for other people. He had run them and built them. An opportunity came for him to buy a small safety supply company. They were scared. My sister and my brother-in-law were scared. They were in their early 50s. They mortgaged their house, they took all their savings, and they bought this little company. They were scared stiff. I said, go for it. Well, today that company's a multi-million-dollar company. They're sort of semi-retired. Their son and his sons run the company. It's operating all over North America. Very successful company. See, it was a why idea. Now, many people entertain why ideas. I get a why idea. Maybe I'm going to move to another city. I get a why idea. I'm going to buy something, buy a new car. I'm going to quit my job and start a business. That's a why idea. As long as the idea remains in the conscious mind, everything's cool. Nothing happens. It's when you get emotionally involved in the idea, when you go to act on it, that all hell breaks loose. Now let's look at this. Here we are here. The Y idea is impressed upon the X-type energy. You move into what's called an XY vibration. A barrier comes bouncing up, we call a terror barrier. Worry, fear, and anxiety strike, and like that, you're right back where? Into bondage. That happens at warp speed. You've got to realize you're dealing with the central nervous system, the most complex electrical system known to man. And that's what you're dealing with. When you get onto a track that you're not in harmony with, everything goes crazy. This is what Joseph Campbell says. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. You should never, absolutely never ask someone else what they think you should do unless that person has already done what you want to do. Go to the experts for advice. If somebody asks me, should I mortgage my house and buy a business? I'd say, is that what you want? Then go for it. Because I'm going to tell you, I would not want to be real old, tied in a wheelchair or in a cribbed bed, my mind as sharp as a tack, but my body spent, looking back over my life saying, gosh, I wonder what would happen if we had done this. I wonder what would happen if we had done that. I wonder if I had listened to Proctor that time that I saw him on the computer. I wonder what would have happened. If only I could, but you can't. Wouldn't it be much better if you ended up there at the end of the road, reliving all those beautiful moves? What do? Look it. When you want to do something, you know that terror barrier is coming up. When you want to do something that you've never done, when you're going off into a space you've never been before, crash right through that terror barrier. Just go zingo, right through. Now, when you do that, does that eliminate the fear? No, it doesn't. But at least you know what's causing the fear. You see, you've got to go where you've never been. Steve Jobs put it very well. You cannot connect the dots looking ahead. You can only connect the dots looking backwards. The people that make it, they're going into the unknown all the time. Now, if you're following someone who really knows what they're talking about, I really know what I'm talking about when it comes to this subject. I train psychiatrists in this. I train managers in some of the largest companies in the world. I've helped, I don't know how many people become very wealthy. You've got to go through that terror barrier. And when you do that, everything beautiful starts to happen. Now I'm going to show you another thing. You're going to make a decision to do that. And when you keep impressing that over and over, the fear's still there. But one day, the old conditioning's gone. And now you're really comfortable in your new spot. Now you've experienced that in your life. You've already experienced it. Now you know what happens? The why turns into action. You start all over again. And that's how you keep going up, 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 all the days of your life. Let these lines represent levels of vibration. Now, levels of vibration are more commonly referred to as frequencies, and you and I think on frequencies. We think on frequencies. So let's say that these puffy little clouds represent our thoughts, and our thoughts produce our results. That's where we started, isn't it? Take a look at the results. Why do we get this? It's because of the way we're thinking. So we keep thinking this way. We're going to keep getting the same results. But we say, that's where I want to go. That's where I want to go. I'm going to do that as soon as I get the money. I'm going to do that as soon as the kids are out of school. I'm going to do that as soon as the results aren't going to change because the thinking changes. You see, you've got to say, I'm doing that. And the second you make the decision, you flip your brain onto the frequency that you have to be on to think the thoughts you have to think to get the good you want. Just think in your past. Look in your past. You'll say, I want that. It didn't matter that you didn't have the money. You say, I'm going to do that. And you'd always find the money. Go take a look in your house. Take a look at all the stuff in your house. Most of it you don't need. You know why you got it? Because you wanted it. When you really want something, when you say, I'm going there, I'm going to make that happen, I make the decision, boom, 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 you get onto a new frequency. Do you know, I've started, I don't know how many companies. I've never had a business plan. I just have the picture, and then I go for it. You never heard Martin Luther King say, we have a strategy. No. He said, we have a dream. You got to have a dream. When you have a dream, then you act like the person you want to become. You see yourself already with it. You see, it's your paradigm that you want to think about. It's not their paradigm, it's your paradigm. You make up your mind that you're going to change you. You didn't sit down to look at this by accident. You have been attracted to this, and it was attracted to you. This can change your life just like mine. If you really want to make things happen, I guarantee you this will help you do it. And when you get into this, you're with us forever. And I guarantee you, a year from now, you're going to need a telescope to look back and see where you were. I visited Earl Nightingale one time in Chicago at 333 North Michigan in the early 60s. And I spent an hour with him. And when I was finished, I said, Earl, what's the real deal? Well, he says, there's no deal. He says, there's no secret. He said, you just simply figure out what you love to do and dedicate your life to it. I got so excited right at that moment because I knew exactly what I'd love to do. I'd love to do what he was doing. That was around 1963, 64. In 1968, I left my own company. I was earning hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, over $1 million some years. I took a job for $18,000 a year. 5 years later, I was earning $33,000. But I was doing what I wanted to do. I was working with my mentor. I got an education that you couldn't buy. And you know something? I've been repaid time and time again. 5 years later, I decided, I took this pen in my hand, and I said, I'm going to build a company that operates all over the world. The Procter Gallagher Institute is in 100 different countries. Don't ask anyone what they think you should do. Make a decision. You're going to do this. You're going to get involved in this. I don't care if you have to go and borrow the money from your grandmother. You're going to make a decision right now, today, that you are never going to lower your standard of living. You have the potential that God gave you. You've got all the potential in the world. Anything anybody else does, you're quite capable of doing. But you've got to make a decision to do it. And don't worry about where the money or everything's going to come from. It'll come. When the Maharishi Yogi decided to take transcendental meditation to the world, somebody said, where's the money going to come from? It's going to cost a lot of money. He said, wherever it is right now.